Hey, I'm here at the Retro Gaming Fair at Doncaster Dome. I'm here with Marc and Paul from SEGA Powered, which is a new magazine that's coming out. And you guys did a Kickstarter for that, didn't you?
Yeah.
How did that go?
It went really well.
It was funded within about 2 or 3 days, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which made it a lot easier for us going forward because we knew we could sort of future-proof the magazine there and then.
Yeah.
We'd always been confident we'd hit the target due to the staff and the people that were on the magazine. But to then sort of go above and beyond, I mean, it's future-proofed for a fair old while yet.
We've known each other for quite some time, myself and Marc, and we met at this event a good few years ago. But for myself, I do the Maximum Power podcast, which I know, cheap plug, but been a fan of magazines and now 42 years old. And it was like, I was a massive fan of like reading them as a kid, well, teenager as well. So then I started reaching out to games writers from the past. So, you know, people like Steve Jarrett, our own now, Dean Mortlock, and, you know, Andy Smith, Andy Lowe, people from Gamesmaster, all sorts, Jazz Rignall. We've said before, if you had like a virtual newsagent shelf, or if you could go right, this magazine's launched and this one, and you put them all together, you'd have like quite a nice selection. So then the idea started coming together, and he goes, I'm going to do it. So he had us in mind, again, being like magazine fans, and obviously like, you know, into it, up on it with the knowledge, and this was my aim as a kid. And I also spent time working on another magazine like Amiga Addict. So again, slowly getting my writing skills up to scratch. And again, now it's writing about, you know, Sega games. You can't go wrong.
So I think Dean had always had, ever since the closure of Saturn Power, which he was editing, he'd always sort of had that passion to go back into the magazine editing world. He has said he's tried a lot of other things since, but it never quite stuck. He was always wanting to go back into the magazine. Hence SEGA Powered. So sort of the stars have aligned with us all. He got together with Neil, who did a lot of work on DC UK, PlayStation Max, things like that. They then came to us, with us being sort of magazine experts, me on the SEGA magazine side of things, so Paul with his Maximum Power Up podcast. The stars sort of aligned, if you will, and we sort of all got together and realised we could create something really, really special. And having seen the draft copy of SEGA Powered, we know it is very, very special.
Yeah, sure. Well, obviously I know you from having bought many PlayStation magazines from you, because I'm trying to collect the full set of the original PlayStation magazine, and you're trying to collect a full set of, what was it, Sega?
Yeah, so as part of SEGA Mags, we're trying to collect a full set of UK Sega magazines, me and another chap up in Scotland called Matt Nielsen. We're very, very close, we're still on the quest, we're about 5 or 6 away, I think, from full set combined. We are both attempting to collect separate sets, so we need 2 of everything. But combined, 6 or 7 magazines that we know of, which tend to be the sort of pamphlet reprint ones where you're not quite sure how long they went on for. So we're getting closer, you know, every step of the way, but we are still actively looking out there, hence why I have a lot of duplicate magazines to sell, basically.
Yeah, sure. What made you guys decide on Sega as like the focus for your magazine? I'm guessing you guys are just like back from when Sega first started. You're like fans of the company.
Yeah, I think again I'm mainly into the 16-bit era personally because again of my age, I've got a lot of good memories again from the mags, but also I just think it was such a key time. It's obviously pre-internet gaming, you know, spending time, you know, like playing with your mates, like just huddled on a console in your bedroom and things like that. But when it comes to Sega, a lot of people go, well, there's nothing there anymore. You know, it's almost, a lot of people see it like as a dormant brand, you know, or you know, more or less fully dead, you know. And the one thing I always end up saying is like, no, Sega was still around, obviously, as a publisher and things. And what I love about the company is that they actually care about their past. So recently we've had like Streets of Rage 4, you know, which was like one of my favourite games last year. We're here at a games market, surrounded by loads of old games, but also you see those small indie developers, showing off some of their wares, which is great to see. When you go to things like, play Blackpool and play Manchester, you can see what's going on. So you just got to dig a little bit more. But then, like, by having a new print magazine, which people will go, yeah, we've got that nostalgia for print, and also it's going to look the part. You go, right, well, you know what? We talk about the past, the present, and the future. And I know Dean's going to laugh at me for saying that, because I always end up saying past, present, future. There's always something to cover. It might not always be like so obvious, but you go, hang on a minute, no, Sega are doing this, they're doing that. The amount of Sega merch, that is out there. This year we've had the 30 years of Sonic. It's like, it's
Sonic Cologne now, aren't we? Sonic Cologne, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Sonic cereal back in the day and things like that, yeah.
I mean, for me, yeah, it's an obvious answer. Massive Sega fan. I was still chained to the Saturn bedposts when my mates were all playing PlayStations. I still cry over the death of the Dreamcast now.
Yeah.
But obviously, on my side of things, with me having a near full UK set of Sega magazines, it's a library that we can tap into for SEGA Powered, and you will see it. So you'll see some reviews that we do, re-reviews as we call them, where we sort of pick apart the old games, see whether they still stand up today. You'll see what the other magazines said at the time, Sega Pro, Mean Machine, Sega Mega. You'll see exactly what they said, and we then sort of pick it apart and say, does it still hold up? So having access to my library of magazines stood in really good stead for this, to be fair.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to sort of bringing the Sega Mags element to it as well. With the unrivaled access. So yeah, you will see a lot of sort of ex-Sega magazines, from writers to editors. You'll see them all appear in the magazine. We've got a great chat head feature in issue 1, which has got, it's almost like a soft porn of A to Z of former editors and writers. It really is good.
Yes.
I think readers will be pleasantly surprised when they see exactly who we've got on for that.
So you did touch on the fact that you are going to be covering Sega from beginning to modern day. One of my favourite series is the Yakuza series. So, is it going to be like, obviously you've got your retro stuff, but you also have new Sega games coming out as well?
Yeah. Well, for example, you've just had Lost Judgment recently as well. I was recently playing Judgment through PS Now, so obviously I had like a bit of a trial at that, and then obviously you see Lost Judgment coming out. There's a lot of love for these series. Yeah. And that's just it. Granted, there is no Sega console anymore, but they've obviously got these series like Valkyria Chronicles.
Yeah.
I bought the first one. That's obviously been going for a while as well. So this is what I mean. Sega are there. They've got their sort of, I say, quite long-running series again. The Yakuza's been going for quite some time now. Yeah. And there must be demand there to have out Lost Judgment as well. Yeah. So these are, type of games that you go, you know what? It's a new Sega game. It's going in.
Like two point hospital as well.
Yeah.
2 Point hospital.
So we know that sort of 2 Point campus is upcoming. I'm trying hard to sort of chat to Marc Webley about that, but that'll be a game we feature. To put it in context for issue 1, we've got Intrepid Izzy, which is a really fantastic independent game. We've got Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania, which I reviewed. So again, delving into the published Sega games. We've got, in terms of re-reviews, Virtua Tennis, Daytona USA. Yeah, we've got it all in there from old to new. And we're going to be delving into the homebrew, the independents. There's so much to scratch just beyond that sort of initial Sega surface. It's amazing when we started sort of doing the magazine, just how much you can fit in when you look at the bigger Sega picture.
Yeah. I think that's just it, because you're going 20 years ago now from the Dreamcast fading away. So again, quite a lot of things to cover there, within that 20 years. And like we just mentioned then, quite a few new titles coming out for modern day consoles. And that's what sort of excites me. And again, you've had things like the Mega Drive games on the Switch service, and the amount of games that get released on there, it's crazy. I think this is what makes it personally a good time as well, because you've got that next generation of gamers, and it's a lot easier. Granted, price of originals can cost a lot now, but because you've got other ways to play on Switch, or again the collections as well, that's the type of thing you can be covering all the time.
So do you think that Sega Powered is going to be aimed more at people like us that grew up with magazines, or do you think there's a market for new people coming into gaming that are gonna think this is this is their kind of thing?
I personally think they'll obviously let you go as well, but I feel like it is a love letter, to how magazines were like in that sort of peak era. But for a magazine to survive, you need to be covering the modern stuff, and you need to not just have it look like a throwback. It's got to obviously look the part to be, covering both sides, because if you just do one or the other, you're losing out a lot, so you don't want to alienate any audience, really.
I think in a sense what we're going for with SEGA Powered is sort of imagine that SEGA Powered never closed down. So imagine it was still going to this day. We've adapted, we've evolved, the readership back then will be much, much older now. So yeah, the ones that sort of grew up with SEGA Power, we're aiming to sort of have them on board as readership. I think we will get new people on board as well, because you've got a lot of people that sort of look at the retro side of Sega, that have collected Dreamcast, Saturns, Mega Drives, 32X, Mega CDs, the whole works now, but may not have been around when sort of the consoles were launched. We were showing our age there, aren't we?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we will appeal to both sort of readers, young and old, and hopefully a lot of returning readers from the Sega Power era as well.
I mean, the big thing for me is like when was mentioned before, you've got small studios starting up and things like that, and those are the sort of people that you actually want to feature when you can as well, to have these in-depth look at games, to show that the scene is starting to bubble up again.
Yeah, that's the last thing I wanted to touch on, just your nostalgic memories really from when we were actually buying these magazines in the shops. And
it's crazy to think that you're going back 25, 30 years, like I've said on the podcast, I had paper rounds, and used to go in, and I'll do spend my paper round money on magazines, because you'd go in and you'd have 6 or 7 Mega Drive magazines, Mega magazines, Nintendo magazines, and you'd have like 6 or 7 for each format.
Yeah.
I mean, I think to sum up and to finish it off, we've enjoyed making SEGA Powered. We hope you enjoy reading it as much as we've enjoyed making it, and we hope to be around for many, many years to come. Once issue 1's out there, send us your feedback. Our DMs are open. You're welcome to get in touch with us, but hopefully you'll love it reading it as much as we enjoy producing it.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Thanks very much for chatting to me
worries.
today, and yes, I'm definitely looking forward to reading it.
Thank you very much.